my name's Asma. I'm 17 years old and I really love geography. I want to ask you guys, are you also passionate about geography? Because if you are, then my presentation will match your interests. Speaking of my presentation, I will be tackling the subject of maps. And more specifically, I will be analyzing their degree of accuracy. Before I start, I will need 3 volunteers from the audience to come and join me on stage, and I'll be showing them random maps, and I'll just ask them to tell me what they see. Okay, so please, you can come. And
volunteer here. Him. You got it. Thank you.
all right, please, next map. Next map, yes. So this is the Mercator projection map, the most commonly used map in the world. You'll see it everywhere, from textbooks to Google Maps, etc. Okay, so I'm going to be asking you to compare this landmass, which is the continent of Africa, to the island in the north, which is the biggest island in the world, Greenland. Please tell me, how do you think their sizes compare?
They're almost the same. They are almost the same.
The shape is almost the same.
Okay, and the size?
The continent, African continent is much bigger than the other.
According to the map. Is it a bit bigger?
Yeah.
According to the map, they look about the same.
Okay, thank you. Next map, please. Okay, so this time we're also going to be comparing the continent of Africa, but to the Federation of Russia. Please tell me, according to the map, which one do you think is bigger?
Russia.
Russia too.
Okay, thank you. Next map, please. So this map highlights 4 different countries. It highlights Russia, Canada, the US, and China. I'll be asking you to compare Russia, which is highlighted in yellow, to the United States, which is highlighted in red. By how much do you think Russia is bigger than the United States?
Russia is twice bigger.
It's 3 times as big.
3 times as
3 times, okay. I'm going to be asking you this time about China, which is highlighted in pink, and Canada, which is highlighted in blue. Which one do you think is bigger and by how much?
I think they're almost the same size.
And is a little bit bigger than China.
I think they are almost in the same size.
Okay, thank you. This is Australia. I'm going to be asking you to compare Australia to Russia. How many times do you think Russia is bigger than Australia?
10 times, I guess.
3 times.
5 times.
Okay, 5 times. Thank you very much for joining me. You can regain your seats. Please applaud these people. Okay. So, have you guys ever just looked at this sort of map and wondered to yourself, this country is too big, or this country is too tiny? Well then, think again, because there's a very overwhelming chance that the map you saw was the Mercator projection map. And I'm quite sore to let you know that it's not a very accurate representative of the sizes of countries. I shall now proceed to exemplify my claims. I'm going to start by speaking about one of the most notable examples that is mentioned in almost every conversation about the Mercator projection. So, I'm going to be speaking about the size of Africa versus the size of Greenland. When I asked the people who joined me on stage to tell me how their sizes compare, they all said that they thought that Africa and Greenland were of pretty much similar sizes. Well, Africa is 14 times larger than Greenland. And as the next picture illustrates it, next picture please. As this picture illustrates it on the Mercator projection map, this is what it looks like. And in actual reality, this is the size difference. All right. I'm also going to be speaking about the difference in size between Africa and Russia. When I asked the people who joined me on stage to tell me how the sizes of Russia and Africa compare, they all said that they thought that Russia was bigger. Well, Russia is almost twice as small as Africa. This map seems to be hiding the true size of Africa, because Africa is an absolutely massive continent. And as the next picture illustrates it, next picture please. Africa, can encompass the surface area of huge countries such as the United States, India, China, Japan, Western Europe, and Eastern Europe. Speaking of Europe, it looks like a decently sized continent on the top of the map. Well, if I ask you, excluding Russia, which country do you think is the biggest in Europe? It's Ukraine. Ukraine is 603,700 square kilometers. And I'm also going to tell you that the state of Texas is 695,662 square kilometers, which makes the state of Texas bigger than the biggest country in Europe. Seems weird, isn't it? Okay. I'm going to be speaking about another country that can be found at the bottom of the map in Southeast Asia. It's Indonesia. If I tell you, does Indonesia pop up in your head when you think about big countries? No. Well, at least on a European scale, Indonesia is absolutely massive. It's 1,904,443 square kilometers. And as the next map illustrates it, next map please, this is the size of Texas if it were placed in Europe. You can see that it's like a gigantic fortress right in the middle of the continent. And as the next map illustrates, if Indonesia were placed at the same latitude of Russia, then that's what it looks like. This is Indonesia in real, it's right here. It looks way smaller. So if it were placed on the latitude of Russia, then it would look 3 to 4 times bigger. Okay. Now I'm going to be speaking about, as I like to refer to them, the 4 giants, the 4 biggest countries in the world: Russia, Canada, the US, and China. I asked the people who joined me on stage to compare the sizes of the United States and Russia. They said that they thought that Russia was 4 times bigger than the United States. Well, in fact, Russia is only 1.8 times bigger than the United States. And as the next map illustrates it, next map please, if Russia were placed at the same latitude of the United States, then that's what it would look like. I also asked the people who joined me on stage to compare the sizes of Canada and China. They said that they thought that Canada was bigger. Yes, Canada is bigger, but that's only if you count inland waters such as lakes. This can be attributed to the immense amount of lakes that can be retrieved in Canada. Almost 60% of the world's total amount of lakes. And if Canada and China were placed at the same latitude, then that's what it would look like. Next map, please. They are very, very similarly sized. Okay. I am now going to speak about the last example that I mentioned, which was the size of Australia. Australia seems decently sized at the bottom of the map, but it's not that small. If Australia were placed, for example, at the latitude of Russia, then it would seem much bigger, as the next map illustrates it. Next map, please. So this is Australia on the Mercator projection map, and if it were placed at the latitude of Russia, then that's what it would look like. And to compare Australia to another country, for example, the United States, then that's what it would look like. Next map, please. There's not that much difference between them. Okay, so after having said all of this, it seems as if the Mercator projection is a total scam made to mislead people. But let's not just hate on it yet. We will take time to decorticate this map from beginning to end, and we will start by reading a conventional definition that can be found in the dictionary. Next. Okay. So the Mercator projection, it's a type of map projection introduced in 1569 by Gerardus Mercator. It is often described as a cylindrical projection, but it must be derived mathematically. The meridians are equally spaced parallel vertical lines, and the parallels of latitude are parallel horizontal straight lines that are spaced farther and farther apart as their distance from the equator increases. This projection is widely used for navigation charts because any straight line on a Mercator projection map is a line of constant true bearing that enables a navigator to plot a straight line course. It is less practical for world maps, however, because the scale is distorted. Areas farther away from the equator appear disproportionately large. On a Mercator projection, for example, the landmass of Greenland appears to be greater than that of the continent of South America. In actual area, Greenland is smaller than the Arabian Peninsula. Is it starting to make sense now?
No.
Well, no. I'm still going to explain the thing. So, this can be all attributed to a mathematical issue. It is absolutely impossible to project the surface area of a three-dimensional structure, such as a spherical Earth, on a two-dimensional flat piece of paper, such as a map. And that is why all maps are kind of wrong. But they serve different purposes. As it was mentioned in the definition, the Mercator projection map serves navigation. And it was made so that any landmass near the equator would seem smaller and more compressed, whilst a landmass that is near the poles would seem 3 to 4 times bigger. Next map, please. Okay, so this is the Mercator projection, as I said, and the next map that is after this. Next map, please. So, this is, as I said, all of the land masses that are near the poles seem bigger, whilst the ones that are near the equator seem more compressed and smaller. All right, and if you want to look at another map that respects sizes of countries, then you'll have to look at the Gaull-Peters projection. Next map, please, I'll show it to you. So, here, Greenland in the north, the white thing, now looks 14 times smaller than Africa, but there's a problem. The shapes of the countries are completely distorted. So, as I said before, no map is perfect. But you have to evaluate them on different factors. And to recapitulate, cartographers cannot perfectly project the surface area of a three-dimensional structure such as the Earth on a two-dimensional flat piece of paper such as a map without forms of distortion. Distortions in, for example, size or direction or shape. And this is why you can trust maps, but it depends on what you're trusting for. Thank you.